Okay, let's dive in. We're starting today thinking about something pretty wild. What exactly does it take to get into a country? Physically, politically, logistically, a country shaped by decades of really brutal civil war.
And not just get in, but to find something, like a perfect, untouched surfing wave.
Exactly. It's this incredible contrast, isn't it? You've got huge geopolitical issues, the weight of all that history, even CIA intervention in the background.
All leading to something as fundamentally simple and natural as a clean wave peeling perfectly down a point.
That's our focus today. We're looking at Angola, huge country, Southwest Africa, sort of semi-desert, but it's sitting right in the path of those massive ground swells from the South Atlantic.
Perfect setup for waves.
Right, and our mission really is to unpack the layers, the history, and the sheer logistical effort behind the work of John Seton Callahan and the surfEXPLORE group. They were searching for spots nobody had ever surfed.
Yeah, and this whole deep dive, it's based on an excerpt from a fantastic new book that details this specific trip, surfEXPLORE. Discovering new surfing locations worldwide.
That's the one. Written by John Seton Callahan, published by Schiffer Publishing.
And the core challenge for this group, I mean, you have to picture it. They were trying to explore a country with basically zero tourism, no visitor industry whatsoever.
If you were a foreigner there, you were likely involved in oil, maybe diamonds, maybe even the arms trade, not, adventure sports or surfing.
So what kind of, well, extreme lengths did they need to go to just to be allowed to operate there long enough to even look for waves? That's the puzzle we're digging into.
To get that, you really need a sense of Angola right after the war ended. It was a Portuguese colony for nearly 500 years, started way back 1498 in Luanda.
And then in 1975, Portugal just left. Very suddenly, very chaotically.
What did they leave behind? Mainly the Portuguese language, a terrible history of exploitation, and immediate civil war.
Yeah, catastrophic is the word. Two main sides fighting for decades. There was this glimmer of hope, though, in 1992, a UN-supervised election.
And the MPLA, led by President Dos Santos, they won.
But Jonas Savimbi, the leader of the other side, UNITA, he just refused to accept it. He went back to war.
Even though the international community mostly agreed the election was fair enough.
Right. And that decision, going back to war, it cost him his international backing.
Yeah.
The U.S., South Africa, they pulled their support. That turned out to be pretty crucial.
And here's where that military history connects right up to the surf trip. The war finally ground to a halt because Savimbi himself was killed in 2002. Angolan government troops found him.
And the story goes, the key detail is how they tracked him, allegedly using satellite phone data.
Supplied by whom?
Reportedly by the American CIA. Seems they were keen to finally see an end to this decades-long conflict.
So Savimbi's death basically ended UNITA as a major fighting force. The MPLA declared victory in August 2002.
So picture this. A nation finally emerging from almost non-stop war since the early 60s. Suddenly, peace. But it's a peace built on, well, the foundations of the military structures that won.
Which meant Angola in, say, 2003 wasn't exactly set up for tourists or explorers. No real civilian travel systems in place.
The foreigners who were there, they were tied into oil, diamonds, resource extraction. Big money stuff.
So the kind of access the surfEXPLORE team needed, it wasn't something you could just arrange through a travel agent. It had to come from the top.
From inside that military hierarchy that was now running the country, essentially.
And that reality shaped the whole expedition, didn't it? Starting with the team itself.
Absolutely. I mean, the logistics were just crazy. Think about it. The last known surfers to even visit were guys like Randy Raprick, way back in 1974, before independence, before the war really kicked off.
And Raprick was actually on this trip, returning after all those years.
Yeah, alongside a really interesting crew, all Portuguese speakers, which was key. You had Nuno Janet, Portuguese guy born in Angola, left in '75.
Okay.
Then two pro surfers, Bizuga Barros, another Portuguese pro but also born in Angola.
Yeah.
And Federico Dore, a well-known pro surfer and designer from Brazil.
So the common threads were surfing, the language, and these regional connections. Angola, Portugal, Brazil.
And those connections, especially bazookas, weren't just nice-to-haves. They were absolutely fundamental.
Why bazookas specifically?
His father, General Barros, a former high-ranking MPLA officer. He had switched from the Portuguese military back at independence and fought for the MPLA throughout the war.
Wow. Okay, so this team, they're not dealing in oil or diamonds. Their whole ability to even be there legally, to move around, it hangs on this connection.
Pretty much entirely. According to the source material, this connection, General Barros, provided three absolutely critical things that money alone probably couldn't buy.
Okay, what were they?
First, the official letter of endorsement. In Portuguese, of course.
Yeah.
You needed that just to apply for a visa. It showed you had legitimate backing within the system.
Right, essential paperwork. What else?
Second, arranging a vehicle. Not just any vehicle, but a good one. An air-conditioned Toyota Land Cruiser, which was vital for navigating the country.
Okay, makes sense. Transport's key.
And third, maybe the most critical piece, providing a driver. But not just any driver.
Who was it?
Someone seconded directly from the Angolan army.
From the army. Okay, that really changes the nature of the trip. This wasn't just a chauffeur.
Not at all. This driver was their security, their negotiator, their fixer. Essential for handling any checkpoints, any encounters with other soldiers.
And presumably knowledgeable about navigating those potentially dangerous roads. I mean, landmines were a huge issue after the war.
Exactly. That driver was their lifeline, navigating both the physical and the bureaucratic landscape.
So you've got these extreme logistical hurdles just to get in and get mobile, all pointing towards needing high-level military contacts. But then there's the cost.
Oh, yeah. The cost of just being there, even once you're in. They surfed around Cabo Lido initially, a known spot for the expat oil workers.
But when they ventured further south looking for new spots, they found accommodation run by a guy named Senor Quiroz. And the price...
Sticker shock is putting it mildly.
Yeah.
Basic beach cabins, right? USD $150 a night.
Wow. That's a lot.
It tells you why Angola was consistently ranked one of the most expensive countries in the world back then. It's a snapshot of the post-war economy.
And Senor Quiroz himself is an interesting detail, isn't he?
Yeah, he was actually a former UNITA officer from Savimbi's side, the side that lost the war.
So you have a former enemy officer running a business, and the team, who are there thanks to an MPLA general, are staying with him.
It speaks volumes about the complexities of reconciliation, right? On paper, they were enemies. But in reality, economic survival meant people had to find ways to work together across those old lines.
And what was his main business? It wasn't really the cabins, was it?
No, his main income was seafood exportation, which explains why the surfEXPLORE crew apparently ate fresh lobster for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Sounds luxurious, but it also paints a picture, doesn't it? Extreme wealth from resource extraction, like seafood, driving these pockets of hyper-expensive living, while much of the country was still rebuilding.
Totally. So, after the lobster feasts, the team pushed further south. They were relying entirely on Randy Rarick's memory from, almost 30 years earlier.
Yeah, searching for these empty left points he remembered. And this is where it gets interesting again, because even with all the planning, the army driver, the connections, sometimes the biggest hurdles are just simple misunderstandings.
Right. So they're driving. The army guy takes this rough, unpaved turnoff heading towards the coast.
And who do they encounter?
A local man just walking along the track carrying an AK-47. Pretty standard sight in many post-conflict zones, but still, you pay attention.
Sure. So they stop, ask him in Portuguese, how far to the beach?
And the guy replies simply, 3 horas. 3 hours.
3 hours. Okay, you can imagine the reaction in the Land Cruiser.
Yeah, groans all around. They're thinking, 3 hours driving on this terrible track, potentially mined, getting dark soon, maybe get stuck.
The risk calculus changes instantly.
Absolutely. So, very politely, they thank the man, and the driver does a quick U-turn. Back to the main road, mission seemingly aborted for that spot.
But wait, they haven't gone far back when someone has a realization?
Exactly. It was Bazooka, the Angolan gone surfer. It hits him. The man they spoke to was on foot.
Oh.
He didn't mean 3 hours driving. He meant 3 hours walking.
Oh my God. That's a massive difference.
Huge. It's a classic communication breakdown, right? Interpreting information based on your own context, the Land Cruiser versus the local reality walking. They almost missed the spot entirely.
So they immediately turn around again?
Yep. Straight back onto the dirt track. And this time, how long does it take?
Not 3 hours, I bet.
Not even close.
Yeah.
Maybe 30 minutes of driving.
Yeah.
And suddenly, they see cultivated fields, a small village nestled right behind the beach dunes.
Wow. And was it remote?
Incredibly. When they parked the Land Cruiser and got out, the kids in the village literally ran away screaming. They'd clearly never seen outsiders, let alone a vehicle like that.
That confirms it then. This place was isolated.
Totally. So Randy and Fred, they walk up over the dune to check the waves, and the first set they see is just perfect. Clean, head high, left-hand point break. Rolling through, completely empty, unquestionably unsurfed.
Amazing. But the story doesn't end with just finding the wave, does it?
No, the human element here is what really makes it profound. As the surfers paddled out to actually ride these waves,
What happened back on the beach?
a crowd gathered. Pretty much the entire village, maybe 100 people or more, came down to the beach, stood around the Land Cruiser, just watching.
Just watching them surf.
Yeah. And when Bazooka pulled off an aerial maneuver close to shore, the whole crowd apparently just erupted in cheers, pure spontaneous joy and amazement.
That's incredible. Meanwhile, what was the army driver doing?
He was talking to the local fishermen, learning their story. Turns out they'd founded the village maybe 15 years earlier.
Why there?
They'd moved from an inland province specifically to escape the fighting during the Civil War.
Yeah.
They were originally farmers, knew nothing about the ocean, but they taught themselves to fish just to survive.
Wow. Farmers turned fishermen by the necessity of war.
Exactly. And one of those fishermen said something to the driver that just captures the whole experience. It connects everything, the war, the isolation, the discovery.
What did he say?
He said, and this is powerful, we have waves here often, but I did not know such a thing as surfing the waves in the ocean was possible until I saw it with my own eyes.
Wow. Just wow. Think about that. You need all this high-level stuff. CIA intelligence helping end the war, an MPLA general giving your passage, an army driver. All that extreme access.
All that complexity.
Just to arrive at a place where the simple act of riding a wave is literally unimaginable to the people living right next to it.
It's fascinating how the barriers change, isn't it? They navigated the physical threats, the legacy of war, mines, checkpoints. They got past the communication barrier, the whole Tres Horrors confusion.
But the final barrier was almost conceptual or imaginative.
Exactly. The very idea of surfing didn't exist for them until they saw it. The possibility was locked away, not by distance or danger, but just by lack of exposure.
So when you think about this story, what does it mean for us, listening now? It really shows how access to things, knowledge, experiences, even simple fun, isn't just blocked by walls or wars.
Sometimes it's blocked by simple misunderstandings, like assuming everyone travels the same way you do, or just by the limits of what we can imagine is possible.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does. What other simple joys, what other possibilities are just sitting there, undiscovered or unimagined, in places still recovering from conflict or deep isolation? What potential is waiting just for someone to see it with their own eyes?
That's definitely something to think about. And if this particular story of exploration and discovery has caught your interest, remember it's just one part of a much larger collection.
That's right. It's an excerpt from the new book, surfEXPLORE, Discovering New Surfing Locations Worldwide. The author is John Seton Callahan, and it's published by Schiffer Publishing.
It looks like a fascinating read, covering many more of these kinds of adventures.
Definitely worth checking out. The book's scheduled release date is October 28th, 2025.
And you should be able to find it at major booksellers, places like Amazon, Barnes & Noble, W.H. Smith, Kinokuniya, and many others.
So keep an eye out for it.
Absolutely. Well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. We'll see you next time.